Welcome back to Double Fries, No Slaw, TJ Pittenger, Richie Barnes. And I know it's been about a week since he said them, Richie, and we don't have to break the news. Everybody has heard them by now. I've been asked about it a lot. I've talked about it on some other shows. I haven't talked about it here on the channel, but I want to let you go first since I've already kind of put my thoughts out into the ether. What was your immediate reaction when you heard or read the Castellanos comments about Bama and how they can't stop him and this, that, and the other? And since the week has passed, have your thoughts changed at all?
I was cautiously optimistic about the comments. I want a quarterback that has confidence, and I had no problem with the comments. The problem is in the world we live in today, if he goes 12 for 22 and gets sacked 5 times, we will never live this down on Twitter or any social media platform. But I really had no problem with it. I know Florida State, Norvell, probably not too happy with those comments. But, I talked to my wife, who everyone knows is an Alabama fan, and she just laughed when I read the quote to her when he was talking about Alabama that way. But at the end of the day, I like a guy that has confidence in himself and, is willing to put that out there. Now, do I want him doing that every game? No. But in the offseason, when the game being, 3 months away or so, or 2 months now, I had no problem with it. I really didn't.
Right back to chatting with Richie, but first I do want to remind you about our friends over at Emerald Medical. If you're feeling tired, sluggish, or just off, low testosterone might be the culprit. Emerald Medical is partnering with us to give away 2 free tickets to the Alabama game. We will have info and news on that soon, so make sure you are subscribed here and following on Twitter because I'll put out all the details. But listen, if you're struggling with low energy, sluggish, whatever, reach out to Emerald Medical. EmeraldHRT.com. They will give you a free consultation if you use our code DFNS. Save you money as well. Their owner, Chris, is a huge college football fan. They will offer personalized care that you can trust. Again, EmeraldHRT.com. Code is DFNS. Reach out today to schedule a free consultation and get back to feeling like the real you. I thought a lot about it, and my thoughts did, in fact, change a little bit as the week went on as well. And so I'll tell you, exactly what you just said. I think that the biggest risk here, right? I don't believe that there was any bulletin board material. I don't think that Bama's going to try harder now, like implying they were holding something back in the game. So I don't really believe in that, right? Now, maybe that is the case and I'm wrong, whatever. But I don't buy that very much. Bama got embarrassed last year by Vandy. They were embarrassed in their bowl game where Michigan had 1 billion opt-outs. They couldn't score but a field goal in Norman, which Oklahoma was a bad team. I don't think that Thomas Castellanos' comments are what's going to motivate Bama to go out and win, right? No. Now, is there a scenario where DeBoer leaves the starters in from 1 or 2 more drives, to make a statement? I mean, maybe, but at that point, losing by 20 and losing by 30, what's the difference, right? So I don't think it determines the outcome of the game. I'm not really worried about that. And then I also said, what's the worst case scenario? Like we lose this game and we get a few more jokes on Twitter because of what he said. Like there's a few more messages. Somebody even commented that in the Discord. Like y'all are worried about who's going to troll TJ after the end of the game because of the comment. And I thought, that's a pretty good point. Like what's the worst case that happens here? We have to take a few more jokes. Let me tell you something. By the time it gets to Tuesday of the next week, because Sunday is kind of a dead day because everybody's focused on the NFL. Well, actually, there's no NFL that week, so never mind. Yeah. But by the time you get to Tuesday, everybody's off to week 2 anyway. And what I've found really with running the national channel is that most of the time that happens on Monday, right? Monday, it's like, all right, what's our next opponent, right? Like they've already moved off the weekend. So we might have to endure another 24 hours of jokes, right? Like we weren't already going to get them if we lose to Bama. So relatively low risk. Right? What is the risk? You have to take a few more jokes on a message board or on a social media platform. Okay, whatever, right? I agree completely. And I saw a lot of people took things and they twisted them because out of context, a lot of Florida State fans were like, man, you really shouldn't say that. Like, like that, that never works out well. Nobody calls their shot against Bama and then ends up delivering on it. Maybe Castellanos will be the first one to do it. But a lot of people Florida State fans that were, kind of like hesitant or, oh man, maybe you should have said that. People kind of came out and immediately started saying what you just said. Well, I'd rather a quarterback have that confidence than not. Nobody was questioning his confidence. Nobody was saying, why the hell are you confident, Thomas? Nobody was saying, why would you be bold in the way that you felt? I think most people had a problem with the fact that it came out of his mouth and the fact that he said it. No one is crapping on this kid's confidence. In fact, the biggest Bama fans are saying, I hope Ty Simpson thinks that. I hope Ryan Smith, and I hope Kalen DeBoer's whole roster thinks this. I hope all 100 players on FSU's roster think this way. I don't necessarily know that I want all 100 to come out and say it, but I want them to think this. And so, the confidence is not a problem. If there's a problem, it's the fact that he said it. And even that, Florida State wasn't thrilled that this came out, which, you'd have to start to throw okay, well, why didn't the sports info person that was with him, which I don't know who that was, but why didn't the sports info person that was with him, why didn't they maybe reel it back in or say hey, Pete, strike that one, Naco said on 3. That's not my job. I don't know. But if you're going to be upset with it coming out, then maybe make sure it doesn't come out, right? Would be the point. I've got no problem with the confidence though. And I guess stranger things have happened, right? And I'll say this, they've really struggled with running quarterbacks. There's a scenario where he does have a really good game. Florida State still maybe loses close, but he does have a good game. And we could look at it afterwards and say, maybe he wasn't necessarily wrong about his performance. I don't know that that's how it's going to go down. I'm not predicting this game yet. I probably am not going to pick Florida State when we do it, unless the closer to kickoff we get, I probably will. In the parking lot at the tailgate, I'll probably be predicting us. But I don't know, man. But my thoughts have changed on it a little bit. I don't think it's that big of a deal, right? Yeah. And the news cycle is just so long, right? By the time you get to Wednesday, he said it on Monday or Tuesday, right? By the time you get to Wednesday, it's a new story. It's a new thing coming out. We've got all this other crap going on in college athletics. It's just not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and to your earlier point, anyone who's played sports knows that if you need bulletin board material, if you need to, put that quote up in your locker all off season and just read it, then something's wrong with you in your approach to the game, because there's no such thing as bulletin board material in a mentally strong athlete, especially at the highest level. I clearly never played Division I, but in high school, the worst games I had, but basketball was my main sport, was, when my confidence was shot and I didn't even want to shoot the ball. I just would pass it. But when your confidence is high and you're playing like that, things completely change. And it could even be a rallying cry to his teammates. And if they respect him and they seem to, rally around him, I think it could be a great thing for Florida State, even if they do lose that game to Alabama. Like you said, maybe it's a close loss. Maybe they lose by 20. But each and every week, they're going to say, that's my quarterback. What do you want your quarterback to say? Alabama's a really tough team. I'm not sure. We're going to try our best and see what happens. I'd rather them say they can't stop me. I'd much rather that come from my starting quarterback than someone who's a little shy or lackluster. There was a viral clip of Ben Roethlisberger. He was joking around. He's like, we're not going to win, so we're just going to go have fun. And he was clearly being sarcastic. But a lot of players do have that mentality when they go into a game and they think, oh, we can't win this game. But if your quarterback, who is the most important position on your college football roster, has that confidence and is confident enough to speak it out in the open to the media, I'm fine with it. I really am. It doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I think you make a pretty good point. I hadn't thought about it from that perspective, but I don't think it does much to change things around Bama.
No.
But if you're Florida State, no one's picking you to win this game. Yeah. Everyone knows how terrible you were last year. Everybody understands that you're nearly a 2-touchdown underdog. And I bet there are players that in Florida State's locker room and within their program, I'm not trying to call them out, but I'm sure there are players within Florida State's locker room that don't necessarily think they're going to win this game.
They probably don't even want to play the game.
Right. And so I don't think it has any impact on Bama, but to go full homer and, incredibly FSU biased here, which is the reason for the show, it could certainly positively impact Florida State's roster. And I think that's the one thing everyone missed all week. And I'm glad that you said that, because I think that's the best point of anything that's been said on this video is, it probably doesn't impact Bama. They're not going to try harder. it probably doesn't impact the game, even Florida State's way. But if it does spark that little bit more belief, that little bit more mindset of like, wait a minute, we can go out and do this. Certainly it will have been worth it. The last point I'll make is that if he does it, if they pull the upset, he has a good game. Now, if he goes 12 for 26 and they win the game off a blocked field goal or something, I mean, we'll all be happy still. But if he does go off and he has a good game and he runs all over them and we win, that tweet, everyone will change their mind on the way they thought about that text or that interview, that quote. I don't want to say they'll build him a statue, but they'll be pretty close to building him a statue, right? Like if he calls his shot, if he Babe Ruth points to the outfield and smacks it out, he will, Andrew Parchment is like legendary status around Tallahassee for one play. Thomas Castellanos, it won't matter what happens the rest of the year. He will be legendary status for calling his shot and beating Bama as a 2-touchdown underdog when the game happens.
Oh, if he wins the game and he's an integral part of Florida State winning that game, I want him to run straight to the Alabama visitor section, double birds, doing the suck it motion, just own it and just live it. And he will be on every single major sports podcast or radio show that next Sunday or Monday. But yeah, like obviously it could be a long shot, but if he does pull it off, I want him to throw this back in everyone's face who doubted him.
Yeah, including me. Including me, yeah. I hope after the game he just tweets, "Told you so." And nothing else. Like, don't tweet it. Like, Thomas, if you're watching this, I'm sure you are. That's what I want. I want after the game, I want you to tweet, "Just told you so." Don't say anything else. No interview. I mean, yeah, he'll do a post-game stuff, but told you so. That's it.
Or just like the eyeball emoji or like that, sensual smile emoji or something.
And then give it 2 days, 3 days to rest. And then just tweet Miami, you're next. like really double down on this crap. Get ready, Mario. So, all right. Double fries, no slaw. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree? Is this a big deal? Not a big deal? Have your thoughts changed since Monday? We'd love to hear from you. Double fries, no slaw. TJ Pinger, Richie Barnes. We will talk to you soon. Go Noles.